All right, welcome back to Good Morning Quad Cities at 11. We have Craig Hicknight, our plant and gardens expert, taking your questions on our Facebook page. All right, so this question, my echinacea is done blooming. Will it bloom again if I deadhead the blossoms, or should I just cut it back after the frost?
On the echinaceas, you go ahead and you do deadhead. You don't want it producing seed, but you cut it down to there are usually a couple of leaves on the flower stem, and you cut it down to the first leaf, the uppermost leaf on the stem. Once the stem dies back, then you take it off down at the crown of the plant. And you know, if you don't see buds coming up this late in the season, you're probably not going to get any more color this year.
Alrighty, then we have Rick asking, it's a little bit of a longer one. I tried bringing my lemongrass plant indoors last winter for the first time. I was a lucky first timer in that this spring it was transplanted back into the garden and gave me an amazing size second-year plant over 6 feet tall and wide. My question is it better to pot the plant now while it still has time to de-stress outdoors, or is it best to leave it where it is until the day before the first frost?
I would go ahead. Any plant that you're digging out of the garden, get it in the pot a little early. Let those roots go ahead and get established outside while we've still got really decent weather, and then move them in when the weather starts to get cold. You got lucky last year, you're going to be fine this year.
All right, how do I get rid of poison ivy in my yard, this question says?
Okay, you want to use poison ivy killer. The active ingredient is triclopyr. If you've got it growing up through a shrub, you go ahead and you untangle it with your gloves and long sleeves on, lay it out on the grass. You can spray the poison ivy killer on the poison ivy. It will not kill the grass. It kills just broadleaf weeds, so be very careful when you're playing with poison ivy.
That's some good advice.
Yeah.
I've been burned by a poison ivy a few times. So we have from Randy, my peace lily does not look so good. I've had it for 6 years. What can I do?
Okay, just remember, if it's been in the same pot for 6 years, maybe it needs to be repotted, and that's not necessarily going to a larger pot. You're going to wait to a day when it's ready for water, and you're going to reduce the soil mass on the peace lily, and then put it right back in the same pot that you've already cleaned up with fresh soil. Remember, you've damaged the roots, so it's going to take a while for it to pop back. You want it in a nice sunny window while it recuperates.
All right, well, this one, my hydrangea has waited until now to bloom. Do you just let them bloom, or do you go ahead and just cut it back?
I'd go ahead and let them bloom. If it's blooming this late in the season, something has delayed it. Next spring, don't do, and you won't do any pruning this fall or next spring, other than taking out dead wood. And that's after you've got about 2 to 3 inches of new growth, so you can tell live from dead wood, but enjoy the blooms while they're there.
Alrighty, and we have Teresa asking, can we plant a blue spruce? It's about 3 feet tall. Thank you.
Oh, blue spruce. If you're moving it, remember that you have to move it with as much soil as a couple of strong men can carry. You want to have your new spot ready. You want to get it out of the ground, back in the ground. Use your root stimulator. Make sure you mulch it well, and very well. You want that ground to cool down as slowly as possible this winter. And you'll have to go ahead and watch the watering, of course. And with any evergreen, make sure that you give them a good, thorough watering in mid-December so that they can take up water and be fully hydrated when the ground finally freezes.
Would the dry weather cause apples to have no flavor?
Well, a lot of it is the weather that we've had. There has just not been enough moisture for a good apple crop. I know in our orchard at Wallace's, the apples are just not as big as they have been in years past. And a lot of that, unless you're willing to invest an awful lot of water in trees, and we've got over 600 of them, it's kind of up to Mother Nature. But don't forget, next spring, give them a nice shot of fertilizer.
Nice shot of fertilizer already. And Gregory asks, how soon is too soon to plant lilies?
I would say lilies can go in the ground just about any time now. Remember, lilies get planted more deeply than a lot of the bulbs. You're going to want the top of the bulb a good 6 to 7 inches below ground level. Lilies are not known for sprouting in the fall. With the tulips and daffodils, you know, I might wait a couple of 3 weeks before I go ahead and put them in the ground, because they do have a bad habit of sprouting in the fall if we get enough cool weather. Anybody's guess what this year's going to be.
Well, we can ask Andrew after, so.
Yes, yes. And thank you, Craig, for joining us and allowing me to also learn a little bit this week.
Glad to be here.
Be sure to join our Facebook Live with Craig each and every Wednesday. There you can submit all of your burning plant questions and be part of the conversation. GMQC at 11 returns in just a few moments.